You're watching the Eternal Tournament Series.
Here we're back. It's round 3, the Eternal Tournament Series. We're in week 4. We got a couple more weeks until the Invitational. Pretty exciting. I, of course, Mark, aka chibikawaii, in the booth with me. I got Ilyon. Ilyon, how you doing? And you want to give us a rundown of these matchups?
I'm doing pretty good. We've got Argenport mid-range list here versus TJP mid-range. So we got a fairly traditional Argenport list from IlyaK, and then on the other side, we have like this new kind of mid-range TJP list. So we've got something that's going to be pretty relevant here in 4 main deck Haru pacifiers. Yeah. So we're going to be able to stop all the weapons that are coming out of Argenport. IlyaK's not playing too many. They're not running things like Inquisitor's Blade, so we aren't going to see it stopping anything like that. But they're still running 4 main deck Bloodletters and 3 Aura Croonhammers, and we can certainly see a lot of that being blanked by Haru Pacifier. Some of the other key cards that you might see out of this deck here is it's got 3 Stand Together. Stand Together just kind of making its way into a lot of different deck lists in this tournament.
Great card.
Yeah, and a lot of Aegis units. Like, there's just a ton of Aegis units on top of that, because they've also got 4 Copper Hall Elites and 4 Shelter Wing Riders to go along with the Stand Togethers. And a ton of removal and silence in this list. We've got 4 Equivocates. We've got 3 Vanquish. We have 4 Valkyrie Enforcers. Like, this is just a ton of ways to get rid of things.
Yeah, most of the threats are all flyers too. So Ilya's only real response to that is the Impending Dooms. Of course, they have removal, but Vanquish doesn't hit a lot of the flyers.
Yeah, they have Impending Doom, and they have their own Unseen Commando to kind of try and block some things. But Unseen Commando doesn't really block Haru Pacifier, Valkyrie Enforcers, Shelter Wing Riders particularly well. Like, it can chump block, but you're not going to get a whole lot of value out of a block with a Unseen Commando. That's not where it's shining here. So, yeah, it could be a pretty tough matchup for Argenport, and when we see Sabotage right away, get an Equivocate, and it just gets replaced.
Draws another Equivocate, and then we also see that, so Mouche is going to be able to run out a Kothon into a Valkyrie Enforcer if they need to. I can't imagine the Kothon is going to be blocking this Rip Knight Assassin coming down from IlyaK, but the silence is going to be really big if IlyaK can draw any more power. Yeah, they missed, though. That's a little unfortunate.
Yeah. So, I mean, Ilya's stuck on 2. This could be a pretty big turn, just depending on how long they get stuck. We don't have a particularly fast hand from Mouche here. I mean, we're going to see a Valkyrie Enforcer and, just attacking in for 2. It's nothing explosive. Yeah. So I mean, we're still not seeing any power. That's going to be pretty tough for Ilya here. Do you just awaken student and go for the Seek Power now?
No, I think you Seek Power for a Time Source, play the Time Source, play your Knight Chancellor Seraph, and then next turn play the Awakened Student and play the Justice Sigil. Exactly what Mouche ended up doing here. IlyaK, though, now it did find a power, finds a second Shadow Source, is able to play the Arc Interrogator. I don't know how much that's actually going to do. That's going to allow,
Well, that's such a booby prize here, because you really need the Justice, right? Like, it's cool to be able to play Auric Interrogator, but you really want to be able to slam these Valkyrie Enforcers and Unseen Commandos.
Yeah, and there's the Awakened Student after playing the Seek Power, and the Equivocate's going to come down. It's going to bounce that Auric Interrogator. That Auric Interrogator actually is now a 2/2 flying Aegis unit, so not the worst. At least it's a slightly better blocker. Ooh, Ilya, though, drawing the Bloodletter. I have to imagine that's going to end up on that Thunderboard.
Yeah, it's got to go on Thunderbird. I don't know that it's going to be enough, though. I really like the play here by Mouche to just like realize that they were stuck on power and just smash in as much as possible.
Agreed, 100%.
We're going to have to get some chump blocks. And Bloodletter comes down and it lets it be a blocker, but they can't attack with it. Like, this is just game over. There's really nothing that can happen here.
Yeah, and with it being forced into being chump with the bird being forced into a chump block status, they're not going to have that life gain. So yeah, it really just does absolutely nothing. So congratulations to Mouche taking the game over IlyaK. Gonna go to sideboards. What do we like? What do we like?
Really quick one there. Unfortunately decided by power. For the AP mid-range list, I'm thinking that you would probably want to put in some number of suffocates, actually, which is kind of strange because you're thinking about like TJP mid-range. A lot of the times what comes to mind for me is things like Sandstorm Titan and kind of that old school TJP mid-range list where it's a lot of legends and things. But this list is different than that. It's got a lot of things that have 3 power or less. You've got 4 Knight Chancellors, you've got the 4 Haru Pacifiers, you've got 4 Coffins, Awakened Student. There's a lot of things to hit with it. So I wouldn't mind seeing a Suffocate here. I could certainly see that coming in. Probably put in another Orc Runehammer as well because it kills everything in this list except for Shelter Wing Rider. That seems like it's a pretty solid hit for them as well. A little bit dicey because of the fact there is the Haru Pacifier, but I mean, if you're putting in Suffocate as well, I'm not sure. You'd probably take out some number of, oh God, do you take out Sabotage against this list? Stand Together and Accelerated Evolution are pretty big plays from the TJP mid-range list. It has the Vanquishes. You do want to hit those if you can, but...
Yeah, and actually, like, I'm almost wondering if Devastating Setback is better than the... because you're advocating taking out the Sabotages, yes? Or
yeah, I'm wondering if you want to take out some Sabotage or not. Like, okay. I'm wondering what you might want to run. Like, Suffocate seems like it's a reasonable put in. Or Runehammer could be reasonable to put in, but I'm not sure exactly what you'd want to take out here against this list.
Really, I actually kind of like Crown Watch Trader. Crown Watch Trader with Quick Draw is able to swing into a lot of what Mouche is doing.
Yes, yeah, Crown Watch Trader is certainly reasonable. There's a lot of different lines that you could go here for the sideboard for this Argenport list. It's got a decent main board already. It's just really weak to those flyers, so I'm kind of... The problem is that like the Suffocate doesn't get rid of the Shelter Wing Rider, and I mean, nor does the Orc Runehammer. So I'm not sure what you have that's a great addition to getting rid of that. Maybe you put in Vanquish instead, but Vanquish hits so little besides the Shelter Wing.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah,
it's a tough sideboard here for the Argenport list. If we look at the TJP mid range list, I mean, you can see that they've got some Permafrost that they could do, but I don't think they really care about that because of Tavrod versus, possible Crown Watch Trader coming in as well. It doesn't seem like what you really want to do there.
Yeah, I'm trying to. I like the 4th Stand Together.
Fourth Stand Together, maybe put in a Vanquish just as an additional answer to Impending Dooms and Tavrods because those are kind of some of the bigger things that you can face. So I wouldn't mind putting in another Vanquish. I'm interested to see how IlyaK actually sideboards this. 'Cause this is a really interesting choice. There's a lot of different things they could do.
Yeah, and we'll hopefully we'll get it looks like we're having some minor technical issues with the hand cam. We should have that back up and running very quickly. So not entirely sure what's going on in IlyaK's hand. Mouche, though, being able to play this Unseen Commando against the the Rip Knife Assassin from IlyaK. Gets a Warcry, drops Mouche down to 23, and plays a Unseen Commando of their own. Mouche just drawing a Haru Pacifier for the turn with that Unseen Commando on the board. I'm curious to see if he's going to attack. Yep, we do see that. So go ahead, and the trigger goes off. That Unseen Commando for Mouche, it was a 3/4, dropping IlyaK down to 22 and bringing them back up to 26.
Yeah, interesting to note that Ilya attacked with the Rip Knife Assassin without playing the Unseen Commando first. So basically just trying to bait a block, right? Like they don't want to play down the Unseen Commando because it'll make the Rip Knife Assassin too big to be blocked by the Commando and not able to trade. And they really want to entice that trade to happen. So interesting little bit of a line there, I think. I imagine that's why we saw it.
Oh, I agree. Now the question is, do you fire off one of these? Do you fire off the Equivocate on the Unseen Commando, or do you fire off the Equivocate on one of the deadly Warcry units?
I don't think that you fire off an Equivocate at all. Yeah, I think that you just play. Yeah, like we see here the Copper Hull Paladin. I think.
Yeah, so not necessarily this turn, I should say, but
like ultimately. Yeah. I mean, I imagine it's going to come across one of the commandos. The flyers are the problem here for Mouche right now.
Yeah.
Commandos is doing so much value. That Finest Hour is pretty decent. It lets a block happen here. And man, Unseen Commando is so frustrating to play against in some ways. Vanquish just kind of languishing away in the hand, unable to hit these commandos, but they swing in for more than enough, right? So Vanquish, and a really awkward position sometimes against these. They're just
Yeah,
going
and
to opt to smash.
Well, which I like quite a bit, because you're not blocking those Rip Knife Assassins. Now you can equivocate the Unseen Commando, the 3/4, and then you have the Finest Hour to. Actually, I guess Finest Hour doesn't. Ooh, okay.
Oh,
So
wow,
you're just playing the Hooveroo Pacifier and then Finest Hour on that in order to get a block?
Yeah, that makes more sense. That's why I was thinking that you leave back the Unseen Commandos, because you can leave it back and you can use Finest Hour on the Unseen Commando to eat one of theirs. That's kind of the hope. Like, you definitely don't block the Rip Knife Assassin, but you can maybe stop one of the Unseen Commandos. That's what your hope is. And we're going to see the Finest Hour come down here on the Pacifier.
Yep.
We see Ilya's got that Auric Interrogator here, which is going to get him a lot of value. This is
Vanquish in hand. I think this just turns on the Vanquish for Mouche, right? And then also gives the Equivocate. So you can Vanquish the 7/6 Interrogator and then Equivocate the other Unseen Commando.
Yeah, it's not over. It's certainly still anybody's game, because you definitely kill both of the units here if you can. It really depends on what we see out of the Equivocate. Probably not something too useful.
Yeah, and I like this is also what makes Unseen Commando tough, right? Do you equivocate now and then you potentially save yourself +2/+2, or do you hope that they play some sort of unit prior that gives you a response window to bounce it? I think you go ahead and bounce it now.
I think that you equivocate it now. You might want to try and bait out like a Bloodletter. Ooh, Sabotage.
There's a Sabotage.
We're gonna see so now we're obviously firing off Equivocate.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, it actually makes it about the same timing as doing it on your turn. So that works out pretty well for Mouche. We're able to bait out with Sabotage and everything. So
I think that was a little loose, in all honesty. If Ilya had not fired off that Sabotage, you'd be taking 8
Yeah,
here.
you'd take a lot of extra damage.
Or you'd be taking 6 here. But
6 instead.
Yeah.
Yep. No blocks the Unseen Commando. I would have been tempted to block at this point because you're getting pretty low.
Yeah, I agree, and especially when you're stuck at 4 power, you're still not playing multiple things a turn. But IlyaK is also down to 2 cards in hand. So,
we see Praxis Outlaw as the card that it gets changed into. So that's a spicy one.
Oh,
not
very
ability,
solid.
Not super useful here. It's just a 3/1 for 3.
It's a great card.
If it ever goes back into the bottom of their deck, they can get it back. So there you go. Boom.
That is very true. So we are going to see an attack for 9 here. IlyaK is going to drop down to 12. It's getting a little risky, though I have to imagine an Unseen Commando actually will be trading off with one of these Rip Knife Assassins this time.
Well, it won't this time because it's going to get slayed, right?
Potentially. Or the actual Unseen Commando. That's probably what's getting slayed, right? And then the Silence Unseen Commando gives the ability to block.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Or I guess it really doesn't matter, right? I guess you could slay the Unseen Commando on the ground, but like I don't like giving my opponent the choice of whether or not they want to keep the good Unseen, like the non-silenced Unseen Commando.
Yeah, you slay the unsilenced one for sure.
I think you just let this through now, right?
No. You definitely trade.
Really? With that single attack? But they're at 12.
But you're at 9. Your way to lose this, I feel like.
Okay.
You've got a lot of value in your hand. You're just waiting to draw power. You know that they're basically running out their whole hand here. They've got a unit that you equivocated. I kind of like that.
So here's another equivocate. Does this do anything? You could equivocate your own Shelterwing Rider if you really wanted to.
You could equivocate the Rip Knife Assassin to get in with the 4/4 as well, which honestly would be a reasonable position to take. But I like playing the Pacifier.
This is huge. All of those War Cries actually went on an Auric Runehammer. So they're just literally doing nothing. Wow.
Yeah, just nothing happening at all. And you definitely take the 2 damage here.
Ooh, now you can equivocate and play Kothon.
So you just swing everything, right? Yeah.
Wait. Yeah, I guess
you have to block. Yeah, they have to block. You've got equivocate, so you're not dead on the backswing. You even get to get them here now because of the double block. So yeah, this is a great position for Mouche.
Oof. Yeah.
And that's just the game. Easy peasy.
Overwhelm is a
certainly still a mechanic.
It's hell of an ability. Yeah. little get that through even with their having a blocker being assigned. There we go.
So we kind of saw exactly what we were talking about, where just like Haru Passfire and a lot of flyers from the TJP mid-range list just kind of took over the game from Argenport. We didn't see any impending dooms out of IlyaK. I think that's definitely one of the problems there. Is if you have some impending dooms to kind of slog up the board, it definitely help, right? That was 2-0.
Oh, okay, yeah, 2-0.
Yeah, that was 2-0. IlyaK
Yeah.
just didn't have power in game one. IlyaK played an Auric Interrogator and didn't have any other gas after that because they just couldn't find the second Justice. So we're seeing a very quick 2-0 from Mouche, and I think we're going to look for some backups here to try and get another round in. Because that was a fast one. TJP mid-range kind of rolled over. Unfortunately, like I said, IlyaK just having a bad draw in game one.
Yeah.
IlyaK.
But Mouche, I think both players played pretty well. I think, in all honesty, I think IlyaK's play was pretty tight. I don't see anything wrong. I think Mouche just kind of had the cards that was needed, right?
Yeah, you can't play your way out of it, like especially game one, right? Like you can't play your way out of not having a Justice power. So it doesn't matter how tight your play is. Sometimes these games are based around variance, and you're going to have to be both good and lucky to consistently win. So just didn't see a whole lot of luck this time.
I do wonder what Ilya's sideboard plan was. Did we see any sideboard cards?
No, we didn't really see any sideboard cards out of Ilya. We didn't see like any extra Devastating Setback or Crown Watch Trader, Suffocate, any of those kinds of cards. It might have just been, honestly, to keep the deck the same. It might have been to keep the deck the same.
Yeah, that is true. I don't know. I think those Crown, I guess the Crown Watch Traders might be better than the Rune Hammers. Maybe it's hard to say because Runehammer is so blanked by the Haru Passfire, but it also kills everything else, right? The only thing it doesn't kill is Shelter Wind Rider. So it's got incredible value if you can get it down. You just have to dodge the Passfire. Yeah.
So yeah, I mean it's a tough one, right? Like, and same with Suffocate. Suffocate's great against things like Passfire, but it does nothing against Shelter Wing. It does nothing against Copper Hall. So it's kind of like, you got a lot of cards that are great against very specific things and then not so good against others. And your main board is already like that. Like Sabotage is fantastic to stop a Vanquish on your Tavrod, but at the same time, I mean, if you see a handful of Passfires, you're not super happy about it.
Yeah, and I think I would have liked to see the Permafrost over, like maybe like trim a little bit of the Vanquishes, because as we saw, that Vanquish didn't do. I guess how many targets does Vanquish have naturally? It's got the 4 Interrogators, the 4 Impending Dooms, the 4 Tavrod. So I guess it's got 12 targets. That's reasonable. Okay.
Yeah,
Let's
I think
the Warcry. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I mean the Permafrost is nice, but you also just it's so blank against Tavrod, and that's probably the main thing that you're worried about. That it's not as important. It's a tough one to say because like Permafrost is so good against most of the deck. But Tavrod being what it is, you can't really. It feels pretty awful for your opponent to slam a Tavrod and you look at your hand and have 2 Permafrosts in it.
Yeah, but I guess like I'm looking at the Minotaur count. Minotaur count's not that high. The weapon count isn't particularly high either, and you're playing Haru Pacifier, so like the weapon, like so you're even like you're lessening the effect of what Tavrod's actually drawing.
Sure.
I don't know. I definitely don't think you cut all the Vanquishes. I just I wonder if Permafrost is a little better.
A 5/7 endurance creature though, like without even having weapons, like a 5/7 endurance is just kind of a beating against this TJP list though. There's nothing that can just straight up trade with it. So I mean, you got to be a little bit worried about that. You still have Equivocates, but I don't know. I'm not sure that you want to have Permafrost there.
Yeah, it's good. But again, I guess congratulations to IlyaK and Mouche on a great match. Definitely congratulations to Mouche for pulling that out there. We did find a backup match. It's going to be Manu versus Vampus. Vampus is leading. However, jumping in here, Manu's got a definite board here. I'm looking at 2 Unseen Commandos, an Owl, and a Huru Pacifier, a Kothon, and 2 Seraphs, swinging in against a board of an Unseen Commando and a Rip Knife Assassin. Vampus at 23, Manu at 13. We're going to see some chump blocks. It's not looking good, though. I haven't done the math. I don't think this is lethal. Yeah, it puts Vampus down to 1. And Manu's sitting with a Island's Intervention in hand. Vampus has seen enough, scoops it up. Now we're tied up 1-1. Vampus and Manu, going at it. Manu, of course, on the exact 90 that Mouche was on.
Yeah, exactly the same deck. It's in fact, Mouche submitted the list that's on Eternal Warcry that's under ManuS's name. So it's the exact same 90. We're looking at it, I mean, basically the same match again, right? So it's kind of the same thing, just an extension of the last match. We've got Argenport again versus another TJP list.
And Ilyon, I'm gonna save you. I'm gonna save you some trouble. All right. So I don't know if you know the whole dilemma with Mansu, but I have been corrected on the name, and it is in fact ManuS. ManuS is the correct pronunciation for ManuS.
ManuS. All right. So
ManuS.
All right. We just call him Dr. Seuss?
No. ManuS's name is ManuS. Yeah, there's no doctor. He has not gone to get his doctorate yet. All right. We can't be throwing around random doctors. Looking at Stein and Hero here. No, just falling flat. Save it. Save me, Ilyon.
I can't pick it up. I can't pick up what you're throwing down. So we've got Vampus on Argenport. It's not the same 90 though. We don't have the exact same cards. We only have 3 Sabotage mains. We do see the Inquisitor's blades here.
Yes.
Which you probably take those out, right? If you're facing down pacifiers. I don't think you're going to want to have too many weapons, but it is really powerful play against with Tavarod. And you are worried about how many flyers this deck has. This deck not running any Impending Dooms in the 90 at all. Instead, running Inquisitor Mokto. Mokto's got to come in, right?
Yeah, and it looked like, especially since that was already a pre-boarded game, they did have, we did still see Mokto left in. As soon as I think it was right as we were cutting over, there was a Mokto that was traded and then died and been put on top of the deck. It ultimately did not get there for Vampus, unfortunately. And it looks like players are still sideboarding. Oh, nope.
We've got a game now going on.
Yep,
ManuS has already started. They're going to be playing a turn 2 Cawthon here, and probably ManuS, yes. I'm probably following it up with a Huru Pacifier, honestly. We'll have to see how good that is against Vampus's hand as we try and get the hand cam up.
I have to imagine it's just going to be good in general, right? You're gonna be able to bait out a removal spell, and that's probably going to be Slay, which is the most for. Ooh,
well, Manu opted to just not play it at all. And we're facing down a Crownwatch Paladin, which I'm assuming has a backup Finest Hour.
Hour. You would have to.
I'm not sure why no pacifier
and no. I guess the Seek Power kind of makes sense if you're thinking you might draw an Awakened Student. I just don't know about.
I'm not sure why no plays. It's a strange choice there.
Yeah,
because you're not playing around like a harsh rule or anything like that. I mean, I guess,
and you're letting the Arc Runehammer be a thing.
Yeah, Runehammer just doing its work here instead. We're gonna see Eileen's Intervention kill this 3/3 though and attack in with Cawthon. So either Crownwatch Paladin or Runehammer is going away, and then I've got to imagine they slam the Pacifier at this point, right? Manu's got to play it.
Yeah. Oh man, it would be great though if there had been a block there. Actually, if there had been a block, that Arc Runehammer would have stayed around to be able to answer the pacifier.
Yeah, blocking there actually would have been pretty good for Vampus. Although we can't see Vampus's hand right now, so it's hard to say exactly. We don't know if they're getting any weapons blanked here.
Yeah, and this is also a shame. Manu does have the 6 power, but unfortunately that is silenced. Wow! Draws a
Silence
rune
their
hammer.
own rune hammer. Oh no.
Okay.
So Haru Pacifier is a good card, but not entirely synergistic with this list, as we see Rune Hammer locked in ManuS hand from their own pacifier. Not the pacifying you want to do.
Yeah, and so it looks like there was a bit of a brain. I did get confirmation from Manu, a little bit of a brain fart on their part, in terms of the Haru pacifier. So yeah, we're not losing our minds completely there. However, this assuming that this is a finest hour coming down on this Crown Watch Paladin, it's going to free up the Rune Hammer in Manu's hand, which is arguably pretty important since it's going to be able to get rid of one of these unseen commandos.
Yeah, I mean, that's the reason why Manu is fine with trading it now. They're in a rough position. They've got to start trying to do something here, and calling the bluff, if it is one, I imagine it's not, but calling this play, making them use the finest hour now. If they lose the pacifier, I mean, okay, well, now my Rune Hammer's unlocked at least, so they get something out of it. It's a rough spot to be in, but it's kind of where they find themselves. Immediately bottoming an extra power here. Manu not wanting to see any more of those.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And yeah, it's going to be a tough one for Manu to kind of climb out of.
Yeah, I mean,
they're facing down 6 in attacks here. You got to trade, right? Like, you got to think this. You got to try it. Oh.
Do they have another finest hour?
Maybe. I think I'd be okay with this attack anyways if I'm Vampus. Like, I would just put it down.
Hey, that Vanquish is now turned on. There's a second Vanquish. All right, we're going to be able to get rid of that Tavrod. Unseen Commando still doing a lot of work here, though.
Yeah, definitely not out of the woods for ManuS, although with only 2 cards in Vampus's hand, this could be anybody's game. Yeah,
Ooh.
I mean,
Valkyrie Enforcer off the top. Yeah. You know what I think? I think we can solve this this problem. This Manu list just needs to play Temporal Distortion, and then the Vanquishes are a lot better against the Unseen Commandos.
Yeah, that would help a lot. There you go. We've broken the format. Just Temporal Distortion everywhere.
Yeah, see, told you. 8 drops. You just play 1. So it's not so it's not like crowding your curve. However, Manu needs to draw something here. That is not what they needed to draw. No. This is going to be game in Vampus's favor unless some sort of miracle happens. But Manu is just going to scoop it up there. Congratulations to Vampus, taking it down 2-1 against Manu.
Yeah, Argenport midrange flipping the tables. So we saw TJP midrange beat up the Argenport list in the last round, and now we're getting the exact opposite result here. So, interesting matchup for sure. The Flyers versus that Haru pacifier play, unfortunately, such
or lack thereof. Yeah.
Well, and it ended up being a really interesting card here because it did also lock out Manu's own Rune Hammer. So, I mean, Pacifier being a double-edged sword with your own Rune Hammers in the deck. Definitely a very relevant card in this matchup.
Well, but I guess it is what it is. Yeah, that's and we do have confirmation though that was the last match in the. Yeah, all right. So yeah, Manu is confirming. Accidentally clicked through their turn 3, and then everything went not ideally from there. But mistakes happen. It's kind of a thing. Sometimes you F6 through your turn. But yeah, given that was that was the last match in the round, we're going to take a very, very quick break. We will be right back for round 4, just to keep powering through. So thank you everybody for tuning in. We'll see you guys really shortly.